The strangers, believe me when I say, loving me is loving danger. Your heart is bound to break. I walk alone in the night, neath the pale moon. Loving's for the fools. Baby, beware of my bite. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone wolf, I'm a lone wolf, I'm a lone wolf, I'm a lone wolf, creeping through the shadows and the corners of your mind. I go where the wind blows. I run but I don't hide. I hear the call of the wild, whispering the name. No, I can't be tamed. My heart belongs to the night. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. 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 I'm a
Alright guys, Satellite was here earlier and I've seemed to have lost him, so Sat, if you're watching, feel free to jump in, bro. Apart from that guys, I do have a little bit of upkeep regarding the website and the channel and what we're planning on doing to beat the censorship, and then obviously we've got a whole bunch of news to cover. Also, I'm halfway through renovating my house, so at the moment I'm a very dusty panda. The things I do. I've cut my finger too on a broken tile, so if I bleed out, someone call 000. But yeah, apart from that guys, okay, so let's start with the website update, because that's probably the easiest thing to get over and done with. Guys, we have obviously gone live with the update for the website. I will actually bring it up for you guys now so you actually get to see what it's like. Kind of happy with it, not gonna lie. So just waiting for it to load, because hey, I'm streaming and apparently I don't have, there's still no decent internet guys yet, by the way, also if you're wondering. So here's the website here, and basically every time there is an article or a video that goes live, it automatically populates it to the website. And then I just have to simply go through later and change it from world news to select region. Obviously world news is everything, but you know, if it's like particular like Australia or whatever it may be, it'll also go into the Australian news, so you can select it here, for example, Australian news. At the moment there's about 50 or 3 pages. I haven't got them all on there for some reason. I'll have to look into the program as to why it doesn't do that. But yeah, obviously at the end of the day, it's there, it's up and running, and it's automatic, so it's one thing I don't have to worry about doing. Also, if you go through and subscribe to the email, you will get notified once a day regarding what new videos go up. So it'll send you an email saying, hey, these are the videos that were uploaded, these are the categories. So obviously live show is obviously all the live shows that we do entirely. And the rest of them are just obviously the segments that we extract from the live show. So yeah, 3 pages of the live shows. So if you guys miss a video or anything like that, or if you don't get notified or anything like that, yeah, thanks, Will. And if you want to sort of subscribe to the website, you will get an email once a day if there's a new video. If there's no new videos for the day, then obviously you don't get notified. So yeah, I might change the banner a little bit, maybe put like an image or something up there, but apart from that, looks pretty good. And the best thing is it's automatic, so I don't have to worry about constantly having to add all these new posts. So that part is pretty cool. As for my internet, look, yeah, I'm still waiting to find out what the hell's going on with that. It was supposed to be done on Friday. It's now Tuesday, and I still haven't heard anything yet, so I presume they're going to contact me. Every time my phone rings, I run to it like it's a, you know, me winning a lotto sort of thing. But yeah, at the end of the day, obviously, once I know anything more about that, I'm just simply waiting for them, I presume, to go through and start connecting people. Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out when that happens, I suppose. So yeah, that's it. Website obviously will allow us to beat censorship because it'll be advertised on Google and stuff like that. So obviously we can get past the YouTube algorithm. It links back to the YouTube algorithm. So for example, if you click on the video, for example, the Australian election video that we did, then it will actually play it from YouTube's website and just play it through the website. So it's pretty cool. And hopefully you guys will like it. Squirrel seems to like it, thinks it's pretty cool. So that's at least one person. I think it looks pretty cool too. So there's 2 people at least like it. So yeah. Alright. Apart from that, like I said, the internet, I don't know what's happening with it. I'm just waiting to find out. And hopefully, yeah. Apart from that day, today, guys, obviously there was a video that went up over the weekend where obviously we were talking about the Australian election. There have been a few people that have commented on that. I haven't responded to them yet. I'm going to do it in a sec after this, or after this anyway. But yeah, obviously, you guys, if you want to go and check that video out, please do. If you haven't seen it already. Apart from that, the news for the day, obviously we're going to be talking about a transgender woman who was attacked and has in Dallas and has been found dead. Iran calls on Trump to address Iranians with respect. Tens of thousands of North Korean women are sold into Chinese sex slaves. So, you know, if you want a North Korean wife. Prosecutor examining tens of thousands of Trump's documents for inauguration. 16-year-old boy immigrant has died in U.S. custody. Tech companies began to cut off vital Huawei supplies. I find that very interesting. Queen Elizabeth said, future of Britain like EU. Jesus Christ. Really? Vancouver Aquarium is suing the government for banning captive whales, dolphins, and porpoises. Trayvon Martin's mother is running for political office because, you know, his son died. Being a thug. Ford will cut 7,000 white-collar jobs, so we'll talk about that. Hundreds of migrants occupied the airport of Paris. And migrants... Yes, we did. Yes, Amtrak. It was really cool. Yeah, I know, we didn't get any, but... How are you, Amtrak? Nigel Farage versus Cable. That'll be the debate, so we'll talk about that. Country file, I don't think that's such a thing, but okay. Presenter calls for agriculture to be taught to stop the vegans. Hundreds of black vest migrants seize Paris airport, which is actually going to be the same as that one. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp mocks the C-list celebrities that are threatening to boycott over heartbeat bill. Britain's violence crime wave is obviously going through, and seemingly no end to surprise. Merkel, Germany's future depends on immigration. Maybe she should tell that. After all, Germany has states to ban knives because of knife attacks. It's weird how they seemingly go hand in hand, doesn't it? And then they went through and did a poll, and, well, the results will stun you. Donald Trump says he's in favour of the abortion laws, with the exception of rape and incest, which I kind of support. Rollout of facial recognition is terrifying. Al Gore forecasts there'll be no ice left at the North Pole by 2013. Deep State exposed, and also Brexit Party left-wing museum media is in denial over EU elections. So there's quite a bit. There's quite a bit to watch, guys. So we're just going to kick it off. Can't find that? No? Okay. We're just going to kick it off and go from here. So we'll start talking about transgender thing. So, yeah. It's funny how that seems to be that these areas that have a large amount of migrants seemingly having to ban knives and guns. That's weird, isn't it, Amtrak? It's like, there's no link, thank God, between those two, you know, because that'll just be weird. As for Fraser Anning, yeah, it's a little bit sad he didn't get in. I did see an article where the mainstream media was gloating, saying the racist is being kicked out, yay, sort of thing. Okay, fine, whatever, I suppose. We should probably also talk about the Tommy Robinson situation too. God, there's a lot to cover today. All right, let's just jump into it. Transgender woman. Might actually record this, actually. All right. Farage can make Britain great again. Yeah. I don't know. Larry, look, obviously he's a step in the right direction, but I do wonder if he is still part of the establishment. I don't know. I get worried about his remarks he made about Tommy Robinson. But let's keep going. A transgender woman who was attacked in Dallas last month has been found dead. So, when a transgender woman was attacked in Dallas parking lot in April, cell phone camera footage of the episode made national headlines. The police investigated it as a possible hate crime. A month later, on Sunday, the Dallas Police Department announced the woman, Marcia Brooker, 23, had been shot and killed. The police said it had no evidence linking the kills to the earlier attack. At a news conference in Major Vincent Wenning said the officers found Miss Brooker shortly before 7 a.m. on Saturday, and that her identity was confirmed on Sunday. They had been responding to a report of shootings and found Miss Brooker laying face down in the street, deceased from a homicide violence, he said. Major Weddington added that Edward Thomas, the man who was arrested after the film reportedly punching Miss Brooke last month, was no longer in police custody, but there was no indication he was linked to the killing. Last month's attack took place on April 12th, shortly after Miss Brooks was involved in an automotive incident in the parking lot of an apartment complex. The video of the episode shows the man authorities identify as Mr. Thomas reportedly punching the woman on the ground as she struggled. The other man in the crowd kicked her before a group of women helped her get away. The police said that people in the crowd shouted anti-gay slurs during the beating, and that Miss Brooks was hospitalized with a concussion and a fractured wrist. Attacks on the transgender people have been in the rise, according to advocacy groups. I'd like to see the data. At least 26 transgender people were killed in the United States last year, which, funny enough, wasn't actually the highest amount. More of them were actually killed overseas, and especially in Muslim countries. But let's not go talking about that because of our narrative, because obviously this is the New York Times. Most of them black transgender women, according to the Human Rights Campaign and advocacy group. The group has listed 3 transgender people who were killed in 2019, not including Miss Brooks. They were all black women who were fatally shot. Those numbers may understate the problem because local officers are not required to report such killings to central databases, and because the police sometimes incorrect names or genders make it difficult to know that the homicide victim was transgender. At a news conference after she was attacked last month, Miss Brooks stood on the podium and faced a group of supporters, several of whom carried signs in support of trans people. This has been a rough week for myself, the transgender community, and also the city of Dallas, Miss Brooks said. This time I can stand before you, she added, whereas in other scenarios we were at a memorial. Okay. Look, I didn't hear about Tommy from Farage. Thanks, I'll look that up. Yeah, no worries, man. Look, obviously, at the end of the day, regarding this situation, look, obviously, transgender people shouldn't be killed. Duh, obviously. And I'm against any sort of political violence or anything like that. Obviously, it sounds like it wasn't linked to the earlier attack, but it does sound like there might be someone going around killing trans people. They said there's 3 trans people have been killed. That all black trans were killed this year. That to me sounds like it could be the same person. So I'd be looking into maybe a serial killer. Maybe a serial killer who doesn't like trans people. Look, it's bad. It's not good. Not only that, but also it also allows the left to go through and use this as a narrative. Look, maybe oppression, stuff like that. So it's more counterproductive than anything. And obviously, look, trans people shouldn't be killed. I don't have a problem with someone being trans. If that's what they want to do, go for it. Especially male trans people. If they just want to mind their own business, I don't care. I don't think people should be killed. And I don't think at the end of the day that people... Look, yeah, it's pretty rough. It really, really is. To me, this sounds like it might be a serial killer. No worries, man. Thank you very much. Catch you later. This sounds like it could be a serial killer. Sounds like it could be a serial killer who's going through and attacking trans people. And I would be looking into it to see if it's the same perpetrator. That would be my argument. Yeah, that would be my statement. But, you know. Hey, I could be wrong, could be right. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Alright, so let's jump into Iran. Iran calls on Trump to address Iranians with respect, not threat of war. I actually would agree with this too. Iran urged the United States on Monday to address the Islamic Republic with respect, not threats of war. The day after the US President Donald Trump stoked concerns about a political US-Iran conflict. I wonder what type of murder, if it was stabbing in all three cases, it would fit a serial killer. Yeah, true. True, TL. How are you, TL, by the way? But in the state, a brewing confrontation over the years after Washington quit World Power's 2015 nuclear deal with Iran and imposed sanctions on it, Tehran announced a fourth-fold increase in its rate of production of low-grade uranium enrichment. I don't think low-grade can be used for weapons, can it? I think that is just... I don't think low-grade can actually be used. I hear somebody. How are you, buddy? Alright.
Hello, how you doing?
Not bad, how are you, man?
Yeah, I'm well.
Just trying to find out, they can hear you by the way, just trying to find out if low-grade uranium can be used for nuclear weapons. I don't think it actually can. But anyway, tensions between Washington and its Sunni Muslim Gulf Arab allies on one side and Tehran, its Shiite Muslim proxies on the religion on the other side, have been flaring for weeks. On Sunday, Trump tweeted, "If Iran wants to fight, it'll be the official end of Iran. Never threaten the United States again." So I'm not familiar with what threats the Iran people have put out. If they're threatening Trump in the first place, then, you know, maybe they need to take some of their own advice too. Squirrel says, hey, by the way.
It's surprising that Iran would do that.
What? Threaten the US?
Yeah, that just sounds like a really, really silly thing to do.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif replied on his Twitter account, "Never threaten an Iranian. Try respect. It works." Well, depends too. If you went through and threatened the US in the first place, then maybe you should follow your own advice. Safrafi, who was educated in the United States, actually praised Trump for earlier remarks seen as cautioning hawks like in his administration who were encouraging conflicts. The president highly reports military-industrial complex pushes US forever wars, Zafi wrote on Twitter. But then he said Trump had allowed a B team of aides led by National Security Advisor John Bolton, who is a war hawk, by the way, to trash diplomacy. He accused them of milking desperate butchers via massive arms sales, an apparent reference to Iran's main regional foe, Saudi Arabia, Washington's biggest arms buyer. So, look, at the end of the day, I think they both need to be locked in a room and chilled out for a little bit. I don't think. Look, I get what Trump's doing. He's literally doing what he did with North Korea. He's walking in, he's throwing his dick on the table and saying, "Behave yourself."
Yeah. You know me, I'm not a great fan of America's foreign policy, but
No, neither am I.
I am not going to defend Iran if they're sitting there going, sending threats or veiled threats or something when
True.
they may or may not have nuclear weapons. So
Mm.
yeah, if I was Trump, I'd take that seriously, of course.
Mm. Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, I think, if Iran's going around issuing threats and stuff like that, then they need to behave themselves too. I think it's a case of both of them need to, smarten up, sort of thing. So, yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want nuclear. I don't want the planet, having a nuclear holocaust. That would not be good.
It's not. It kind of makes it a little inconvenient.
Yeah. It would be inconvenient. Yeah.
Yes. All right.
I don't have a bomb shelter. That's my main concern.
Yeah, well, I'm too busy renovating my house at the moment to build the bomb shelter. So the bomb shelter's next on the list. But at the moment, I'm redoing my kitchen. So, yeah. But anyway.
Priorities, man. Priorities.
Yeah, well, I figured, if Labor had won the election on the weekend, the bomb shelter would have got done before the kitchen. But because they lost, I figured we got another 3 years, so I can build the bomb shelter in that time, maybe. You want to talk about the election later? Your thoughts on it?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Yeah.
But guys, let us know what your thoughts are on on this Iran deal, the Iran's threats. Do you think the Iran threatened Trump in the first place? Do you think at the end of the day that Trump is just returning the favor? Do you think that Trump instigated it? Let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. All right. Let's talk about sex slaves. So
Sure.
welcome back. Tens of thousands of North Korean women sold into Chinese sex trade and systematically wrapped. We'll say wrapped like a bow sort of thing, right? Because that way I won't get demonetized. North Korea women and girls are passed through the hands of traffickers, brokers, and criminal organizations before being pulled into China's sex trade, while they are exploited and used by men until their bodies are depleted, says report. Tens of thousands of North Korean women and girls are trafficked and sold into the sex trade in China, where they are forced to endure systematic wrapping, sexual slavery, and cyber sex trafficking, according to the new report. I don't know why I'm bothered trying to save the monetization on this channel sometimes. The investigation by the Korean Future Initiative has uncovered new and disturbing patterns of horrific sexual abuse perpetrated against trafficking North Korean women and girls in mainland China. It found that women are also being subject to sex trafficking, sexual abuse, prostitution, and forced marriages there. Pushed from their homeland by patriarchal regime, that survives through the imposition of tyranny, poverty, and oppression, North Korea women and girls are passed through the hands of traffickers, brokers, and criminal organizations, the report says, before being pulled into China's sex trade, where they are exploited and used by men until their bodies are depleted. The piece of research found a complex and interconnected network of criminality, recuses an estimated of 105 million annually from the sale of female North Korean bodies. Han Yin Sun, the report's author and researcher at North Korea Future Initiative, said the exploitation of North Korean women and girls generates an annual profit of at least 105 million for the Chinese underworld. Victims are prostituted for as little as 30 yen, or Chinese $4. Jesus Christ, that's cheap. Sold as wives for just 1,000 yen, or $164, and trafficked into cyber sex dens for exploited by global online audiences. So what were you going to say?
That's crazy. That is cheap as. Holy crap.
Yeah, I tell you what, if I can't find a wife over here, I'm going to China.
Yeah, but I mean, if you buy one, that's probably a heaven. That's heaven for them.
Well, I was going to say, and this is the thing, and this is something that I was talking to one of our friends in chat, and he was saying that they're probably going to get treated better. Obviously, he wasn't aware of the full details, because I just read out the headlines, and I hadn't even read it at that stage. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, that this is sort of, it really does make you wonder too, and all these sort of, these Chinese porn that you see on the internet makes you wonder how many of them are, are sold and are slaves. So yeah, look, at the end of the day, I do find that it's interesting that the Independent is coming out with this article when, for example, North Korea and Trump are trying to end fences, and it's the military-industrial complex. I could buy 2 right now, says Dr. Strange. I could bathe a lot. But yeah, and that's the thing too. At the end of the day, and for people that are going to take my quote out of context and do a hit piece on me, for example, the fact is that I would probably treat them better than any other person in China.
And about that, I mean, I've got enough in the bank right now. I could buy myself a whole harem.
Yeah. I could have Monday to Sunday. Yeah.
Honestly, I'd mostly just have them as to look after the house and make dinner and wash plates and stuff. That's more what I'm interested in.
So they're going to do the hit piece on you first or on me first? I'm just trying to work it out.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm competing for top position here, aren't I?
Yeah, you're competing for hit pieces. But look, at the end of the day, obviously, and look, all jokes aside, like I say, obviously these girls aren't going to be treated well in China. This sounds like it's a living hell. Yeah, like
China is a living hell right now. Like, let's be honest with that one. I mean, holy crap! Like, the stuff I've been reading about them lately is put my hair standing up. And it scares me more that Western organizations and even some Western councils, like Smart Darwin, it's not looking good. And I think China is becoming a very negative force on the world.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I generally think that this is not a good thing. I'm generally against, selling women as sex slaves, unless you're going to sell them to me, then maybe we can work on it. Oh boy, that hit piece. But like I say, all jokes aside, I'm joking, obviously, right wing watch. But like I say, well, half joking. But like I say, look, at the end of the day, obviously this is bad. People have been stolen, taken away from their families and stuff like that. Obviously this is something that they need to look into. This kind of sounds like it's shit. It really kind of sounds like it's really crap, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, it's the only good side to this article is that they're actually showing, like on a mainstream article. I assume this is like one of those mainstream.
It's the Independent, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to see a mainstream news outlet cover a real example of,
patriarchy,
women exploitation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it does make you wonder, right? Look, at the end of that, great that obviously the Independent has gone through and done this. But here's the thing. Would they have done this if there was something that was there in their political favour? Like, they're going after North Korea, right? Because Trump is trying to work things out. So, hey, if we can go through and stoke the flames of discontent or hatred or whatever it may be, then at the end of the day, woohoo for us, sort of thing, right? Like, this is what they're planning on doing. This is a plan to basically make North Korea out to be a, well, kind of shit. But there's nothing saying here.
Wouldn't you?
So.
Wouldn't the president of North Korea just be like Trump? Who cares? It's the news, fake news, whatever.
Well,
I don't know. Like,
there's nothing in this saying that the North Korean guy actually knows. There's nothing about Kim Jong Un or anything like that, or any of his government branch knowing about what's going on with this sex trade. Like, to me, he could be completely in the dark about this as much as the next of us. So, like I say, look, at the end of the day, I don't know. I just can't get past the fact that you can buy a wife for $146. Like, holy shit.
It goes to show, how different the buying power of money is in different places. Like, I mean, $140 US is a great deal of money to Chinese people, though. Like, a couple thousand yen. I mean, that's massive for them, which is why, generally, if you're a white guy and you're in China, they try and rip you for every dollar you've got. It tends to, you've probably, I don't know if you've seen any videos of it. You can look on YouTube for this kind of thing. There's a guy who actually lives there, in Shenzhen, and he actually goes through and he videos these people haggling like crazy.
Yeah, I've seen the videos on YouTube where it's like the Thailand sex market and stuff like that. I've seen those where it's like a guy that lives in China, in Thailand, and he goes on about the sex trade and the prostitution and all that. That's actually quite an interesting thing. It's not R-rated, or there's no like porn or anything in it. It's just talking about like how you hook up with like prostitutes and how they try and rip you off and stuff like that. So it's something similar. But yeah. But I still can't get past it's $146 for a wife. Dude, I spend more money on that than McDonald's in a week. Like, just saying.
Really? Gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Have a diet, man.
I'm trying to gain weight, man, not lose it.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, but McDonald's, really?
Well, at the moment, I'm
a better option.
Well, in the morning, no. At the moment, my kitchen's in pieces. Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, because you don't have a kitchen at the moment either. Yeah.
Well, I sort of have
problem,
part of a kitchen. Well, I sort of have part of a kitchen.
Well, have you got a stove?
I think that might still work.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway,
and by the way, if there's any background noise, apologies. I'm in the car on a side street, so.
No, that's all right. What are you in the car in the side street?
Yeah, and
for?
I don't have my headset, so I have to use the phone like an actual phone. So I don't have access to mute. So I'll do my best. Yeah.
No, that's not fine. That's fine. I'm more concerned about why you're parked on the side of the road in a side street, talking to me on Discord.
So I'm actually out with the missus today, and she's in one of those. She's in a Vinnie's at the moment.
Oh yeah.
Looking at those Vinnie's places, and I'm just sitting out in the car just waiting for her.
Okay, cool. No worries. All right.
I actually have to wait until 10 o'clock for the vape shop to open. I want to get another flavour. I'm going to go for like a berry flavour today.
Cool. All right. So yeah, guys, but let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section below regarding this. What are your thoughts on China, the sex trade? Do you think it's? I don't know where to go. Look, obviously it's a bad thing. Obviously we don't want Chinese women sold as sex slaves, presumably. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Alright, so let's jump into the next story. So, prosecutors examined tens of thousands of Trump inauguration documents. Because of me, my narrative is falling apart with collusion, so now we need something else. Federal prosecutors in New York are scrutinizing tens of thousands of documents relating to Donald Trump's inauguration in a sign that the investigation into the committee's finances is advancing. Oh my God, is this going to be the next Russia thing? The president's inauguration committee handed over the
Finance Gate.
Yeah, Finance Gate. This is what it's going to be, don't you? The The president's inaugural committee handed over the cache of documents over the course of the several weeks in response to a wide-ranging subpoenas seeking documents, records, and communications concerning the inauguration's finances, vendors, and donors sent in February by the U.S. Attorney's Office with the Southern District of New York. The last set of documents was produced within the last month, people familiar with the matter said. The end of the document production indicates that the investigation is moving into the next stage, which is literal Trump derangement syndrome. Authorities are investigating whether any of the recorded $107 million in donations for the inauguration was misspent. Is this what they're resorting to now? They're resorting to, we're going to go through and we're going to investigate you for maybe misspending funds at the inauguration. Like, Jesus Christ. Can we just get him a straitjacket? This is the hill you want to die on, Democrats. A year and a half before an election, and this is the hill you're going to die on. That maybe Trump misspent inauguration funds. Like, Jesus Christ. Really? Reaching for straws. Yeah, tell me about it, Eric. That's what it sounds like. This sounds like them so desperate to get rid of Trump that they're literally trying everything. You know, hey, we can't talk about the Russian narrative anymore because that's been debunked. We need something else for our clickbait. We need something else for our mainstream media to run because, you know, we can't do decent reporting anymore. You know, we can't just Sorry.
Well, I mean, there is an interesting thing. You heard that a couple of those American guys on CNN or MSNBC, whichever, like Trevor Noah, they've actually I don't know if it's opportunistic though, but they may be changing their narrative a bit now.
Well, it does make you wonder if they're going to jump onto this. Like, this is reported by CNN, right? Which is, you know, the trusted news and names and whatever.
Well, yeah.
I almost laughed too.
But I just mean, like, the Democrats are getting a little crazy. That's true. But I think we might see a little bit of shift in some of the media. And that might be helpful, you know? Maybe.
Yeah, they might sort of back off and maybe sort of go back to decent reporting, maybe. But to be honest, man, I really don't know how that's going to go. Like, yeah. Good luck with that, I suppose, but, well, I don't know. I think CNN's doing this because, A, they need something, right? They need something to attack Trump with. So, you know, look, we can't just go reporting on news anymore, right? Because we're getting our ass handed to us in the ratings. So, you know, we need something. So maybe we can go through and talk about this. And this just seems like it's just a desperate attempt to wind people up so that we can go through and yeah.
And that's what I think part of it too is that like you're saying, they want to wind people up. They need to escalate. That's one of the feelings I'm getting at the moment is there's a lot of escalation towards violence, actually, which is rather concerning. I don't know. One of the craziest stories, I don't know if you've covered this recently, but a mainstream article where they're saying, oh dear, conservatives are upset at that Netflix show that's promoting Punch a Nazi. You know?
Yeah, I have heard about this.
I think The Good Fight. I think, that's what it's called, The Good Fight. Yeah, and that's on Netflix, and it promotes violence against conservatives, Nazis, basically, which is, you know, aka conservative. So that's not cool. And then writing an article saying conservatives are upset, like, well, duh, of course they're upset. But the article paints them like, oh, conservatives have nothing to worry about. We're
Yeah.
after Nazis. It's like, okay, but you call everyone a Nazi.
Yeah, what is a Nazi to the left? A Nazi is anybody that's, anybody that's...
Disagrees with them.
Yeah, anybody that's, right of Stalin is the joke as a Nazi right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I just reset chat, guys, in case you're wondering why it's changed. I've tried to make the chat window the whole size, so the chat will actually go behind the panda as it gets higher and higher. It's just something I'm playing around with. But yeah, like I say, look, at the end of the day, yeah, and I saw this when I was, like, for example, when I was watching the Q&A last night. The Q&A video was put up. At the end of the day, the Q&A they had, I think it was Wong who was on there, and they also had a feminist, and they were on there with Jordan Peterson and blah, blah, blah. And they were, they tried to make the argument, the left were trying to make the argument that there's no violence happening. There's no one shutting down the right when it comes to freedom of speech. And, like, Jordan Peterson was just trying not to piss himself laughing at that. It was just insane. It really was. But, yeah. I was going to send you the link for that.
Drop that in the general for me.
Yeah, well.
I'll check it out. Yeah.
Yep. I'll do that after the show. But yeah, guys, let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Do you think that this is a case of them going through, grasping at straws? At the end of the day, do you think that this is them literally having a case? I think this is grasping at straws. I really, really do. I think this is to sell magazines, sell time slots, because CNN is literally failing when it comes to ratings right now, and they're desperate for something. So, hey, we get the Democrats to go through, look into Trump's finances, we can beef this up a little bit, maybe get some ratings. It seems like it's a real desperate thing right now. Eric says in chat they're reaching for straws. News, Paranoid News says they really hate Trump. It's like they have a syndrome. Yeah, it's called Trump derangement syndrome. Trip, I'm sick of the left's media attacking Trump. They're just digging for anything. Yeah, because they want him gone. Because he's not a part of their group. Because he's an establishment. So, but yeah, guys, let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Alright. We should probably keep moving through these pretty fast, actually. 16-year-old migrant boy dies in U.S. custody. 5th child to die since December. So the boy, who was apprehended after crossing the border May 13th near Hodo, Texas, was found unresponsive Monday morning during a welfare check. So he didn't die in custody? The 16-year-old Guatemala boy who died Monday in immigration custody, I guess it was in immigration custody, in South, was diagnosed with the flu a day before. And the Customs and Border Protection official said the teenager is the 5th migrant child to die in the US custody since December. This sounds like he had the flu. Why are they making this sound like he died in US custody because of bad treatment? Oh, wait, because of a narrative, I suppose. Carlos Hansveas Vanvaga was found unresponsive Monday morning during a welfare check at the Wesco Border Patrol Station, and CBP officials familiar with the case said on Monday after a teleconference. He had been transferred to the station Sunday from the Rio Grande Valley's Senior Central Processing Center, the officials said. Early Sunday, Carlos told staff the processing center that he was not feeling well, and the nurse practitioner assessed him and determined he had influenza A. The official said Carlos was prescribed the medication Tamiflu for treatment, which Border Patrol agents picked up from the local pharmacy, the officials said. This to me sounds like it was a boy who's tried to cross the border, has picked up influenza A along the way. He's gone up, said to him, I'm not feeling well. They've gone through, they've taken him to hospital, they've checked him, they said, yep, you've got influenza A, here's the medication, but it might have been a bit too late. Why is this making out that the US has killed this kid? If anything, I would say that this is sounding like the US bent over backwards to help the kid.
Yeah, it's my narrative.
Yeah.
the kid. I mean, we know that people might be like, the flu, really, but
Well, it's
just
influenza.
for people to know,
Mm.
the flu. The flu majorly impacts the very young
Yeah.
and the elderly.
Yeah.
So just something for people to realize. If you have small children, be very careful with the flu.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, what might have given this kid influenza? I don't know. Crossing Mexico at night, maybe?
Yeah, and another thing too is the trip.
Yeah.
Would have taken a lot out of the kid, obviously, and
Yeah.
you go throwing flu on top of that. At the end of it, you've depleted a lot of your fat stores and energy, and it just must have ran rampant through the kid's body.
Yeah, like this kid's probably hasn't slept much, if any. He's probably hasn't eaten much, if any. And he's probably been walking day and night. This is... I wonder why this kid got influenza. Here's an idea. Stop sending your frigging kids. Like, I know it's an unpopular opinion, but at the end of the day, like, this is what when Trump means that this is a dangerous trek that they're trying to put their kids through. Like... Yeah, Squirrel says in the chat, read the story, not the headlines. True, that's what we do here, buddy. That's why we go through, we read them all out. But the thing is that, unfortunately, a lot of people just read the headlines.
Yeah. That's another thing too. I've noticed over the years that headlines have changed a lot over the years, and it's actually quite interesting that headlines don't title a story anymore. They give you a short soundbite now.
Yeah.
Something that you can repeat that has enough context in it, so that you can tell your buddies about the latest, narrative spin.
Well,
and the thing is too is that these headlines are quite long, which is weird, right? That they're usually quite a few words now in these headlines, and it's so that you can have a soundbite to look at while you scroll on Facebook.
Yeah, and look, and your Squirrel says, I know, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean, and we know what you mean, yeah. But like I say, look, at the end of the day, the fact is that it also makes you wonder if it's by design. If you make people so busy with their life, like you give, like, how much time do people have a day to read the news, right? Well, we do a supposedly an hour-long show that seems to take 2 hours every day. But we do an hour-long show, and, yeah, brackets hour-long. But yeah, it's, for example, people don't have time to sit here and read all these articles. Like, we've got 9, 10, 11 people watching this live stream at the moment now. And no shade on anybody who's obviously sitting there listening to us, but I presume some of these people are going about making dinner, looking after kids, whatever, while they listen to us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's the power of the podcast, is that it empowers people to have more time, because you can now double up on you can get the news from us, and the thing is, nobody should trust us, but if there's an option, listen to us. We're not going to lie to you.
Yeah, it's the one thing I've always said to everybody that listens to the show and that tunes in and all that. I've always said, Squirrel says like and subscribe. Thank you, Squirrel. But like I've always said to him, like, double check everything that we've said. There's been times where we've got things wrong. I think it was actually Squirrel that corrected us once when we were doing a story live. He said, hang on, that's not right. This is what's actually happened. And we've actually corrected the record live on air. So look, at the end of the day, I just did my laundry. Yeah, and that's it. And that's obviously at the end of the day, this is where, for example, you guys can obviously sit here and listen to us go through and talk about all this sort of stuff, which is obviously great. But how many people out of the 9, 10 that are watching at the moment would actually be able to sit here and go through all this news that we're talking about? I imagine that people just don't have time. They just simply have to read the headlines, and the headlines are so misinforming about it. I used to just copy and paste the headline into into the video names and just upload the videos like that. But now I'm getting to the stage where the headlines are just so wrong that I'm just like, I'm starting to have to change the title.
And the headlines are designed to be rage bait. Because there's another thing too about social media, and that social media is designed. Like studies have shown it, that people share the most things that make them angry, and so the headlines are supposed to be rage bait, and you don't want to emulate that on your YouTube video title. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, clickbait, but yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, obviously, yeah, I don't want to encourage people to rage bait sort of thing. Yeah, but obviously they're dealing with chat. Actually, digital tech has reduced the average attention span of people to less than a goldfish. Kind of scary. If you don't get them in the first few sentences or seconds, you've lost them. Which is basically what we're saying at the moment.
Okay. All right, but I want to respond to that for one thing. There's a phenomena going on, though, in this day and age. However, I would say the NPCs are the ones with that goldfish thing, because there's actually quite a lot of people now that, and you listening right now are doing the thing that I'm about to mention, is people tuning into long-form conversation podcasts and this thing right now. And that you should feel great about yourself that you're part of that movement of people that are now actually doing this. It's either audio books, podcasts, whatever it is, but these 2-hour-long live streams. It's a revolution, I think, of people doing this.
Yeah, and it's good.
Pat yourself on the back.
Oh, thank you.
Well, not you, the audience.
Oh, damn it. Here I was thinking I was getting the pat on the back, but yeah, and obviously that's what we decided to do with this is do this long form stuff, and then do the smaller segments for people that obviously don't have time to sit here and listen to the 2-hour, 1 hour show.
Well, fair enough. Yeah. Exactly.
And by the way, also uploading these smaller segments actually helps with the algorithm, because sometimes that actual specific name actually allows it to be searched for, so people will actually find it because of that. And then yeah.
You got the NBN now?
Not yet. Don't ask.
Oh, damn. Oh, alright.
Yeah. But
that's good.
We're still working on it, apparently. I don't know what's happening with it. But anyway. But guys, let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Look, at the end of the day, I don't know where to go with this, to be honest. I think at the end of the day that, I think the media is just trying to go through and to socialise things. Because at the end of the day, my narrative. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Alright. I need to switch to this sec. Alright. Oops. My bad. Alright, so let's jump into the next thing. And actually, I want to get your opinion on this. Because I think that you might actually find this very interesting. So top US tech companies begin to cut off vital Huawei supplies. The impact of the Trump administration's threat to choke Huawei Technologies Co. reverberated across the globe supply chain on Monday, hitting some of the biggest component makers. Chip makers including Intel Corp, Qual Corp, Linux Corp Incorporated, and Broadcom have told their employees they will not supply Huawei until further notice, according to people familiar with their actions. Alphabet's Google cut off the supply of hardware and some software services to the Chinese mobile phone equipment giant. Other persons familiar said asking not to be identified discussed private matters. The Trump administration on Friday blacklisted Huawei, which it accuses of aiding Beijing in espionage, and threatened to cut off it from the US software and semiconductors that it needs to make its products. The ban, which had been anticipated, hamstrings the world's largest provider of networking gear and N2 smart vendor. Blocking the sales of Huawei from computer components is also disrupting the business of American chip giants like Micron Technologies and retard the rollout of critical 5G wireless and network worldwide, including in China. In that turn, could hurt the US companies that are increasingly reliant on the world's second largest economy for growth. So, why do you think the US is going after Hawaii? And I'm mispronouncing that, by the way.
It'll have something to do with the Huawei thing, and of course, the ban on Huawei is because of the relation with China, and if Hawaii, is making all these deals with Beijing as well, that's not helping this situation at all. And I will actually mention one interesting piece of news and I believe, I could be wrong, but it could be Gigabyte is actually moving one of their warehouses over to Taiwan to get around the import tax issue.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as blocking off Hawaii, my goodness, I don't agree with this whole thing. First of all, the import tariffs thing, I don't agree with it. Cutting off Huawei, I don't agree with it. There's no proof. There's no proof at all that any of the Huawei devices are spying on anybody. It's never been proven. If there was proof, we would know about it, because XDA developers, which is the world's largest ROM distribution platform and developer platform, they regularly dissect the ROMs and make changes and make custom ROMs. They would know if there was spyware in the ROM, and it's BS.
Okay.
However, the only silver lining I see here is it slows down 5G. Yay, great.
So my question about this, right, is, do you think that this is the tech companies like Apple? So we've heard a lot about Huawei supposedly being a spy, Chinese spy technology and stuff like that, right? And I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat here a little bit. Do you think at the end of the day, this might be something that Apple and Samsung are doing and spreading because they're going to lose the market share? And also, not only that, but if they lose the market share, they also lose control of censorship.
That is possible. Android is definitely then again, you've got you do have Android on devices that are controlled under American companies. That's true. Huawei, however, and this is pretty cool because Razer is the same sort of thing, as well as a couple other manufacturers. They're all like Chinese type manufacturers. They don't accept much third-party software being installed on their phones. In actual fact, this is pretty cool. If you purchase, say, a Razer phone through Optus here in Australia, there's not one single Optus application on the phone, and they couldn't even brand the phone. When you switch it on, it doesn't. Usually you see Telstra come up on a Telstra phone. It'll come up with a splash screen on the thing. Razer didn't even allow Optus to brand the software. Like they're not allowed to touch the software at all. And the same is actually true for Huawei. They did allow them to brand the phone with Optus splash screen, but no third-party applications, not even the Optus app. So this is obviously going to be a problem for the American carriers, who then they are not allowed to insert their spyware or any kind of backdoor access into the software.
I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about more the fact that, for example, like at the moment, right, Apple and Samsung have Google, and obviously Apple have the market cornered when it comes to, like, for example, InfoWars. Let's use InfoWars for example, right? If InfoWars app is if we don't have access to Huawei technology, for example, right, because they've banned it or whatever they've done to it, we're only stuck with Apple and Samsung. Now, if those two companies are working together to ban InfoWars off the internet, and all of a sudden a third competitor comes along, and all of a sudden, hey, this competitor's spying, don't trust it. But what's to say it's not them sitting there and saying that, because at the end of the day, they don't want this third party to come along because they're not working with them in censoring the internet.
Well, Samsung doesn't have control of the Google store, and Huawei also falls onto the Google store because it's Android.
Oh, okay.
And Samsung is actually an Asian company.
Okay, so that doesn't really... So they're still running off the Android OS, are they?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't played with Huawei, so I'm just theory crafting here. But yeah, I did have to...
The thing, that's why I spoke about more to do with the ROMs and the carriers inserting their own software into the ROMs or customizing it. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Because that's really the only angle they can take on that one. Yeah.
Okay, cool. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, guys, obviously he knows more about this sort of tech stuff than I do. Yeah. So look, at the end of the day, obviously, look, yeah, I don't know. I find this very weird that we keep hearing about Huawei spying on stuff. Who keeps funneling these rumors? You know, is there something to it, or like you say, there's no proof of anything yet? So, you know, like, why do we keep hearing rumors? And, you know, is it something that people are just going through and putting out there because at the end of the day they don't want the competitor?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Don't want to share the market, I suppose.
Well, listen, there is that. There is that, though. Huawei is a big player in 5G, or would have been if they hadn't been banned. And maybe China's Huawei doesn't want to play ball with American backdoors on the hardware.
Maybe.
Or the firmware. So
maybe.
There is that too.
That's something that I think it was Amtrak was actually saying. Can't spyware be hard and not soft, though? Just stuff that I've read in OBOR stuff, and the social credit tech that comes with it.
Yeah, that is actually true. You can have spyware in the hardware. That of course you can. Generally, that would be the firmware that's programmed on the chip, and as we've seen with Apple TPM chips, they can be programmed. Like they come, with Flash, but the chip can actually kill itself if you try to read the software that's in the chip, the firmware.
Yeah.
Or try to adjust it or change it, so that's possible.
Eric says in chat, I wish 5G wasn't coming. Eric, you and me both. Actually, you and me and satellite, all three of us. We really need to do that 5G thing one day.
Yeah.
All
right. I need to jump off.
That's okay, buddy.
So
Thank you for jumping in.
Later.
Yeah. I was going to say, do you want to do the shows earlier? Are you available earlier or something these days?
No, same time.
Okay, cool. No, I just saw you on at 7 o'clock today, and I was like, oh, okay. No worries, buddy. All right, thank you for jumping in, and
okay.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later.
Okay, and bye, everyone. Have a good day.
All right, so let's keep going. Oh, it's probably a good thing he left because he's not going to like this next piece of news. All right. So, Queen Elizabeth said the future of Britain lies in the EU. Declassified German diplomatic records show. The Queen expressed support for the EU integration at a historic meeting with the German diplomats, and declassified account of a meeting shows. The diplomatic cable, written by the ambassador Rodrigo Ferreira von Riffman, I'm getting that name completely wrong, after a meeting with the monarch in 1988, says that the Queen left no doubt the future of Britain lies in Europe. So this is interesting because this is going back to 1988. The ambassador spoke with Elizabeth II for a farewell meeting at the German embassy in London and relied on his conversation back to his government. The account of the meeting, reported by German's Der Spiegel outlet, sheds light on the private views of the monarch, who has made an effort to keep out of politics throughout her reign, including in the Brexit debate. So we have long been rumoured the Queen privately supports European integration. She raised eyebrows at the state opening of Parliament in 2017 after the first referendum, when she turned up wearing a blue jacket and a hat with the yellow flowers in a pattern resembling the EU flag. So Elizabeth said to have told the outgoing ambassador that some have not realised yet the UK belongs in Europe, referring to her subjects. Maybe she hasn't realised that people don't want this. According to the account, she said to have noted that many British people did not have an understanding of the single market and said that it was about time for a government education campaign to explain the unions to voters. The account also suggested that the monarch was highly critical of the then Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, when the ambassador suggested that Miss Thatcher seemed to want a different kind of European integration to the ones supported by then German government. The monarch is said to have replied, "That will change," after a pause, and then she added, "If she's still around." Holy goddamn, is that a threat? Discussing Miss Thatcher's ability to adopt to new political circumstances, the Queen is said to have replied, "Yes, even she has now discovered the hole in the ozone layer." The document is soon to be made public in full German Institute for Contemporary History, which is probably why we're finding out about it now. Look, at the end of the day, I'm going to steal a quote from Amtrak here. Damn lizard people, traitors. It's fairly accurate, actually, to be honest. Fairly accurate statement. Look, at the end of the day, I'm not surprised by this. We long suspected that she was a shill. Well, we've always called her a shill, but yeah, a shill for the EU. I'm not surprised. So at the end of the day, yeah, I'm really not surprised by this whatsoever, to be honest. Alright, jumping into the next story. Vancouver Aquarium suing city and park boards for banning captive whales, dolphins and porpoises. The Vancouver Aquarium is suing the city and the park board over the 2017 oceanic ban for breach of contract and claiming it lost millions of dollars in revenue, which is probably fairly accurate, actually, to be honest, because people won't turn up because of the show. In May 2017, the Vancouver's board voted 6-1 to approve the bayou banning whales, dolphins and porpoises in captivity. The bayou went into effect immediately, preventing Vancouver Aquarium from bringing new oceanics to its facility in Stanley Park. The civil claim filed May 14th, the Vancouver Aquarium states audiences have dropped in the last 2 years, according to the bylaw, has interfered with the aquarium's ability to carry out day-to-day administration of the Marine Science Centre. Compared to 2016 attendance, the Marine Science Centre in both 2017 and 2018 has declined approximately 13%, says the aquarium says in a claim. Based on the 2016 administration rates, the decline in the attendance equals to a loss of approximately $4 million in revenue for each of 2017 and 2018. The Vancouver Aquarium had one senior-aged Pacific white-sided dolphin named Helen, and the park board continues to support. She was rescued from fishing nets many years ago and has no provoctorial fins. As a result, the spokesman said in an aquarium. Look, at the end of the day, I get their argument. Do I believe that they have a case? Probably they do. But that said, do we go allowing sort of locking up and captivity of animals because of me capitalism, so to speak? Like, is there a point where you sit there and say, oh, look, hey, it's unfortunate, but, you know, I don't know. This is the thing, and this is the age-old question, I suppose. Were the whales and dolphins and porpoises, were they mistreated? Were they happy to be in the aquarium, or are they much rather going to be out in the ocean where they have a chance of being hunted by Japanese whalers, for example? I really don't know about that. Yeah. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Trayvon Martin's mother to run for political office in Miami. Sorry, start again. Trayvon Martin's mother to run for political office in Miami. The mother of Trayvon Martin, the black teenager who was killed by a neighborhood watch volunteer in 2012, it's not exactly right, is it? Has announced that she is running for office in Miami. Sebrin Fullerton has become an activist against gun violence following her son's death and will enter the race to join the 13-member board of Miami-Dade County Commissioners. Ms. Fullerton said that she will continue working to end gun violence, the Miami Herald reports. She will challenge the Miami Gardens Mayor Oliver Gilbert for the seat, which is up for grabs in 2012 because of term limits. Trayvon's parents had a foundation have been recognized for their work on gun reform and social justice. It's not exactly true what happened though, is it? My understanding was that this killing was pretty much justified. Maybe? Let me double check. So I'm trying to find something that's not mainstream media because this is going to be a case of the narrative. So Trayvon Martin was shot for beating Zimmerman, not because of race. So what would have been a Florida teenager, Trayvon Martin's second birthday, Teen Vogue mag celebrated his birthday by misleading its young readers on what really happened on the terrible day. Trayvon Martin was a teenager shot by a Hispanic man named George Zimmerman in February of 2012. Zimmerman, a member of the Neighborhood Watch, was suspicious of the 17-year-old African-American boy and began following him while talking to police on the phone. At the same point, Martin turned and confronted Zimmerman and began physically assaulting the Hispanic man. Zimmerman drew his firearm and shot his attacker. Now, I do remember there was something about the fact that the police told Zimmerman not to follow Trayvon Martin. So at the end of the day, look, I'm not saying that either of them were in the right. Zimmerman had followed the 17-year-old and told dispatchers he looked like a suspicious guy. He was later acquitted on the grounds of self-defense. So the court has ruled in favor of Zimmerman. And that to me is pretty much all you need to know. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, I can imagine why his mum's getting involved in politics. I don't think it's a good thing. I think that she might be blinded. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. So Ford will cut 7,000 white-collar jobs. So Ford is cutting 7,000 white-collar jobs, or about 10% of its salaried staff worldwide. As a part of the cost-cutting effort, it says the company about $600 million in a year. Ford says workers will be notified of cuts starting Tuesday, and the terminations will be completed by the end of August. About 2,400 of the jobs are in North America, and about 1,500 of the positions will be eliminated through a voluntary buyout offer. So obviously it's not good that they're cutting jobs in North America. But that said, a lot of these other jobs are going to be eliminated from the rest of the places around the world. It's not just an American thing. So at the end of the day, look, there's still going to be, 4,500 jobs that get cut from the rest of the world. I presume a lot of that's China and stuff like that. So, yeah. Okay. We're going to record this one. Alright. Hundreds of migrants occupy Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. So hundreds of undocumented immigrants occupied France's biggest airport on Sunday, filling an entire terminal and demanding to see the country's prime minister. Footage posted on Twitter shows roughly 500 immigrants chanting in Terminal 2 of Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris. About a dozen riot police and tactical gear held them back. France does not belong to the French. Everybody has a right to be here. Okay, sure, maybe not. One protester can be heard yelling into a loudspeaker. The migrants reportedly refused to let passengers board until their demands were met. In a protest, one warned would not be the last. The demonstration was organised by the migrant support group Le Chapeau de Bois, which says its members call themselves Black Vests. The group comes amid the country's month-long Yellow Vest movement over tax reforms. Really? It's over tax reforms? Are you sure about that? News.com.au. But anyway. French citizens are required to carry yellow vests in their vehicle for emergencies. In an official statement, the group had to meet with the Prime Minister, Edward Philippe, over the country's asylum policy. And the leader of the Air France. They demand that the airline stop any financial, material, logistics, or political participation in deportations. Later on Sunday, the Air France delegation met with the group. A member told a local newspaper, We have targeted Air France and other actions will follow, one migrant told the paper. The protest shut down the terminal, although the airport Aeroporto de Paris said no flights have been affected. Can we just deport these guys now? Paris, what are you doing? Just deport them. So hundreds of black vest migrants seized the airport, obviously in France. Quoting, France does not belong to the French. I disagree. I think it does belong to the French. But anyway. Hundreds of undocumented migrants took the control of Terminal 2 of the Charles de Gaulle Airport in France. So it's roughly around 500. A quick thinking person took video which has been widely shared across Twitter. Here's some follow-up videos. So obviously we'll play that for you guys now. So you get the idea. Why aren't they just deporting them? By the way, can you guess where those migrants might be from? By the way, where are the females? Don't we keep hearing about all these females that are supposedly the migrants? Why is it that this is all looks like mostly males? This kind of looks like an army, doesn't it? Interesting. Migrants warned that it won't stop here. Just deport them for love of God. The organised group released an official statement that warned that this will not be the last effort such as this. The migrants in Vietnam appeared to have a common thread. Yeah, they're all from a certain race. What an incredible, dangerous precedent. The migrants are reported to have refused to allow passengers to board their plane until their demands were met. They were held back by the riot police, but actually got a meeting with a representative of Air France. What kind of precedent does this set? One tweeted, even suggesting Prime Minister Edward Philip cave into their demands and gave them all permanent legal status. Although that hasn't been confirmed. And God, I swear, France, you're such a bunch of cocks. This means that you can go into a foreign country, make demands, and people will actually listen. People will actually capitulate to you and your demands in a place where the grace of the local government. If this was any doubt that there'd be more of these types of sieges, I think we can lay that rest right now. And I agree that this is going to set a very, very dangerous precedent. Like, this is bad. This is very, very bad. And I do find it very, very weird. They seem to be all from the same race. But I thought that they were mostly women. And all mostly male, by the way. Where are the women? It's funny that, isn't it? Stop people paying for their welfare from getting to work. Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, yeah, how many of these people are on welfare? Fighting the wars and rebuilding the countries they came from. Yep, does look like an army, says Eric, and Antrak says, while the men claim more territory. Just deport them. Send them back on the boats. Send them back to where they came from. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the French have been a bunch of cucks. But, I don't know. I don't know, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. So, Farage versus Cable, the Brexit debate, live at 9 PM on Wednesday. So, one of the main arguments against delaying Brexit to avoid the UK failing candidates in the European election on May 23rd, but Brexit was delayed, and on Thursday, polling stations across the country will bring out their ballot boxes once again to ask the country to decide. It might be a vote to elect MPs, but to many, this is the second vote on Brexit itself. So if you're interested in that debate, obviously we'll try and do a wrap-up if we can. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just basically a debate that's going to happen. And hopefully Nigel Farage will do well. So we'll see if he brings his A game. Country File presenter calls for agriculture to be taught and GCSEs to stop rise of vegan vigilantes. A Country File presenter, Adam Hansen, has expressed anger over the online intimidation increasingly dished out by militant vegans as he called for agriculture to be taught at GCSE level. Mr. Hansen, who owns a 1,600-acre working farm at Cotswold, believes people need to make informed choices around food. His wife and his daughter refuse to eat meat reared on his farm, and now the 53-year-old says others need the insight over the discussion, making as he campaigns for people to learn about the process of farming meat. What drives me mad are the vegan vigilantes who post horrendous things on social media that aren't true, he told the Sunday People. Are you better off eating lamb that's been bred on my farm, grazed on beautiful Cotswold pasture? It's full of wildflowers, and something that's been shipped halfway around the world may have contributed to deforestation. Look, at the end of the day, I'm all for teaching people about agriculture and stuff like that at schools. As long as there's not a political bias to it, I would say sure. Why not? Yeah, knock yourselves out. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp mocks the C-list celebrities. I might record this one too, actually. So, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp mocks C-list celebrities threatening boycott over heartbeat law. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, Republican, mocked the C-list celebrities, threatening to boycott the state over its recent passed heartbeat abortion bill, according to the Atlanta, Georgia Constitution. Appearing before the Georgian Republican Convention, Brian Kemp spoke of the backlash regarding the law, which has most abortions once a fatal which bans most abortions once a fatal heartbeat can be detected. I understand that some folks don't like this new law. I'm fine with that, the governor told its state lawmakers. We're electing to do what's right, and we're standing up for precious life, which is always the right thing to do. We are the party of freedom and of opportunity. We value and protect innocent life, even though that makes the C-list celebrities squawk, he added. Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, look, regardless of what you think regarding this sort of stuff, I can get... See, the problem is that with the pro-abortion argument, they tend to lose me on that, because they go on about things like, for example, it's not a baby, it's not real, it's not a person. They go through and they make a whole bunch of excuses, and they constantly shifting the goalposts. If they had been honest about it and said, look, at the end of the day, yes, it is murder, yes, it is a real person, but this is the circumstances, then, look, to be honest, I think they would be, I don't know, they would probably be more accepting, I suppose. They would have more of an argument, maybe. But, I don't know. Yeah. Guys, what do you think in the comment section below? Personally, I don't mind him trolling them. Personally, I think it's kind of funny. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. They voted Brexit. Now they got to vote on it again. Yeah, they're just going to keep going through and doing votes until they get the election, the vote they want. That's all. That's what they're doing, bro. Let's just keep rerunning the same election over and over and over until we get a different result. Speaking of Brexit, Britain's violent crime wave claims a 100th fatality stabbing victim of 2019. Britain's violent crime wave continues to do the number of fatality stabbings across the country reached 100 this week, according to analysis by the BBC. The first stabbing incident reportedly occurred just hours into the new year when a 33-year-old Charlotte Higgins was stabbed to death. The most recent victim, a 32-year-old man, John Lewis, who was fatally stabbed in Middlesbrough. The breakdown figures: 83 out of 100 fatal stabbing victims were male, 17 were female. Most of the victims were under the age of 30. The primary age range for the victims was between 20 and 29 years of age. Figures reported in April show that 73% of the offenders and 53% of the victims of the knife were of black minority ethnic backgrounds. So just to reiterate, April figures show 73% of the offenders and 53% of victims were black or minorities. So, yeah. 2/3 of the all-night crime in London was carried out by people under the age of 25. The youngest victim by the knife attack was just 14 years old. The eldest was 80. This is the highest number of stabbings occurred in the multicultural capital of London, led by London's Sadiq Khan, which has seen 30 fatal attacks so far this year. So out of 100, London makes up for 30 of them. Do you think maybe he has a problem there? What do you guys reckon? I think there might be a problem. Alright, but yeah, guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I should probably stop playing around with my overlay. But anyway, let's keep going. So the next story is Merkel's Germany future depends on immigration. So Germany Chancellor Angela Merkel told a crowd in Berlin that Germany's continued success depends on how successful it manages immigration and integration. Speaking to young people from an immigration background to the mark of the 70th anniversary, the passing of the German Constitution, Merkel said that the economic and social viability of our country depends on the country's successful management of these challenges. The crowd was assembled as a part of the Go Your Own Way initiative, a program of German immigration-funded DSI, which promotes integration of young people from immigrant backgrounds into German job market. So no agenda whatsoever. During the speech, Merkel reminded the audience that 19 million Germans, just under 1/4 of the total population of the 83 million, have an immigration background. What the hell was that? Had something full. Anyway. Hopefully it's not a spider. Because it was right near my leg. Referring to the recent immigration influx, particularly from Middle Eastern countries like Syria and Iraq, Merkel said that while there have been and will continue to be difficulties, this represents the continued changes that have taken place since the country emerged from the ashes of World War II. We have painstakingly understood that we continue to understand how immigration is changing our country and how it will continue to change our country, she said. We have learnt that our country must be a country of immigration and integration. Which is weird because now German states to ban knives in public places due to drastic surge in attacks. So, okay. 2 regions in Germany are seriously considering banning carrying plastic knives in public places due to a recent outbreak of knife attacks. The states Lower Saxony and Bremen have both said that they will be looking into the implementation of banning of carrying knives. Both states have drafted legislation for the Federal Council that would make it illegal to carry knives in areas like train stations. Why are you carrying a knife in a train station? Shopping centres and public events, according to the report by the German newspaper Die Welt. The ban would also apply to any area where large numbers of people are gathered at one time. Those would have proposed this legislation argue that knife attacks in the area are particularly dangerous and affecting the security of the population. The kinds of knives that members of the public are permitted to carry in public will also see additional changes. Before, individuals could carry fixed knives as long as 12 centimeters, but the new law will decrease that to just 6 centimeters. Furthermore, a blanket ban will be placed on all spring-loaded knives, regardless of their lengths. In the past few years, since immigration, mind you, no relation whatsoever, though, of course, knife crime has become a serious issue in German cities. Knife crime has become so prevalent that last month, German's Woman's Magazine ran an article giving advice on how to properly treat a stab wound. Boy, it makes you kind of wonder why they're having to run articles on being stabbed, doesn't it? Early this year, in February, 5 German cities saw brutal knife attacks on the same day, which resulted in several hospitalizations. Precise statistics on knife crime can be difficult to calculate, however. In another article published by Die Welt early this year, the newspaper pointed out that the comprehensive statistics on knife crime were unavailable and that may take several years for the government to gather the statistics and insert them into an annual federal police statistics data. Because we don't want to talk about it, basically, is the reason. But Germany isn't the only Western country that has seen a significant increase in knife attacks in recent years. The United Kingdom has also seen a drastic uptake in knife crimes. And it's weird because both these people, or both these countries, are seemingly taking mass amounts of migrants. Jesus Christ, I wonder how thick people have to get before they go through and start thinking that maybe there is a link. But don't worry, the Germans are starting to wake up, with German television station asking, does Islam belong in Germany? And stunned by the results. And I'm not that stunned, actually, to be honest. I'm kind of expected this, but Germans woke. Let's just use that as a hashtag. On the anniversary of the German Constitution, a German television station asked its audience the question, does Islam belong in Germany? The channel was stunned with the result of over 95% saying no. Let me reiterate. Does Islam belong in Germany? 95% said no. Only 4% said Islam did belong in Germany, and I'm guessing that 4% is probably Islamic. In 2016, Islamic extremists murdered 22 people in Germany in 7 different attacks. Maybe that has something to do with the polling results. Nah, don't be silly. Look, at the end of the day, change of government in Germany is long overdue. Maybe they can get like a populist party that goes through that'll start banning migrants. Who knows? Maybe they can then go through and start taking back their country. Maybe they can send them to France, because apparently France likes to capitulate. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Donald Trump says he's in favour of abortion laws with the exception of rape and incest. So President Trump on Saturday declared himself strong pro-life, but in favour of exceptions for pregnancies resulting from rape or incest after several US states passed tough new restrictions on abortions. The US president spelled out his position on abortion, set to be a hot-button issue at the next year's election, days after Alabama governor signed the country's most restrictive law, enacting a near-total prohibition even in cases of rape and incest. Yeah, it does actually. It does, Eric, doesn't it? Most people know that. For those who would like to know, I'm strong pro-life with 3 exceptions: rape, incest, and protecting the life of the mother. The same position taken by Ronald Reagan, Trump tweeted. Trump, a bombastic, twice-divorced billionaire, won over the evangelical vote during his 2016 campaign by promising to appoint anti-abortion justices to the Supreme Court. That sounds like an opinion, but anyway, Telegraph. He said brought 2 new Conservatives appointees to the High Court in the land, Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, shifting the balance of the 9-person bench. The American evangelicals now have high hopes the court will chip away at its historical 1973 US decision to legalize abortion. In addition to Alabama, the Missouri legislature this week made abortion illegal from 8 weeks of pregnancy. And the rest of the information we already know, so yeah. Look, at the end of the day, I'm not surprised by Trump's stance on this. I like it. I like his stance. I think it's a good stance. But maybe, look, yeah, I don't know. But I like the whole him allowing for rape and incest. I like that. Because I think those people should not have to raise their own kids. Because they've been raped. Yeah, I get that, Eric. And here's the thing, it does make you wonder, right? Is he playing 4D chess? What if he turns around and says to the Democrats, okay, you want your abortion for rape and incest? I'll give that to you, but we have to drop it back to 8 weeks or 10 weeks or whatever it may be. What if this is a part of a deal for him? What if he's planning on dealing with the Democrats to wind back on some of the abortion? I don't know. New narrative. They only gave Trump power to send women back to the kitchen. Oof, a little spicy there, Amtrak. They'll be saying he wants to remove their voting rights next. True. But anyway. Alright. The rollout of facial recognition technology has terrifying implications for us all. Our MPs have some fun. Quite roughly, they have lined up to criticise Belgium's sophisticated surveillance state. The aim is for every Chinese citizen to be on giant facial recognition database, their biometric data stored so they can be identified in seconds when they're captured by a vast network of cameras, such as terrible scrutiny that cannot help but condition behaviour, especially when combined with social credit systems under which minor transactions can destroy your official reputation and affect your ability to access services. I do find it weird that the mainstream media is talking about this. Welcome to the party, mainstream media. This is what we've been trying to say for a while now. But moving along. Al Gore forecast there would be no ice at the North Pole. So we're down to the last 3 articles, guys. So, yeah. How long have we been going for? What? Almost 2 hours? Yeah, so we'll probably wrap up at 2 hour mark. Former US Vice President Al Gore cited Professor Molesky's analysis on Monday in his acceptance speech at our Nobel Peace Prize in ceremony in Oslo. Our projection of 2013 from removal of ice in summer is not accounting for the last 2 millennia. In 2005 to 2007, the researcher from the Naval Postgraduate School, California, explained by the BBC. So given the fact that you can argue that many of our projections of 2013 is already too conservative. Really? See here, in 1997, right? 2007, sorry. You can see the ice is up there. Yeah, sure, it's changed around here, but it's also grown around there. And also around here a little bit too. So... Anyway. Deep State to be exposed. Grab your popcorn. Saturday on Fox News Channel's Justice host Jeannie Perrotto predicted the so-called Deep State was on the verge of being exposed, which she called True Reality TV. During her open segment section, Perrotto called for the former FBI Director James Comey and head of what she likened to the criminal family, adding that he and others in the crime family were arrogant and believed they were above the law. We're not going to quietly go into the night. Grab your popcorn, Junior, mints, or whatever makes you happy, Perrotto said. The real show is about to begin. This will be true reality TV. No scripts, no rehearsals, just a gang of criminals pointing fingers at each other to save their own hides. A version of true crime, a reality show Survivor, the Deep State exposed. Yeah. Funny thing is actually, Eric, is if you go through and you look at the ice caps and stuff, I think it was the ice caps in Norway are actually growing. It's the first time they've grown in like 20 years or whatever. So yeah, but don't tell Gore that. And Brexit Party. Left-wing mainstream media is in denial over elections. The mainstream media, which supports the United Kingdom remaining in the European elections, is biased against the newly formed poll-topping Brexit Party, one of the European Union's Parliament's election candidates, he said. Franklin's veteran Rear Admiral Roger Lane Knight was responding on Saturday evening to the newly announced guest lineup of the BBC's flagship weekly political program due to air following morning, when he made comments with the political colleagues saying that the broadcasters were guilty of lazy journalism. All 5 politicians, including 4 party leaders, to be featured on the last edition of the program to be aired before the vote on Thursday, the 23rd of May, represents an anti-Brexit views. Brexit Party candidate Lane Note was well as standing for the Brexit Party in the southwest of London, or England, has vowed to stand against the theoretical neutral Parliament Speaker John Burrow in this next seat of Westminster elections, said the BBC was demonstrating their bias with their lineup. Is anybody surprised? I think it will, Eric. I think the judgment day will come. I think that this William Barr going after the deep state is good news. And I think at the end of the day, that is why they're going after Barr lately. Because they're worried. They're worried about him going after them. So, yeah, I do think it will happen. But that's basically the show, guys. 2 hours and, yeah. 8 minutes off 2 hours. But yeah, I do think the deep state's going to get exposed, and hopefully Trump can go through and drain the swamp in his second presidency. So yeah, apart from that, guys, obviously if there's any questions, any comments, anything at all, feel free to post them in the comment section below if you're watching this on later on VOD. Apart from that, everybody who has tuned in, thank you. Thanks to everybody who turns up and watches the show live. I love you guys, and without you guys here, there would be literally no show. So thank you very much. I'm thinking Jo has just turned up and has missed the show. Is that right? Have you just turned up and you've missed it? Is that why you're saying no? There's a little ticker down the bottom. It tells you when we go live. You know. Yeah, thanks guys. But yeah, thanks everybody who has turned up. Don't worry, Jo, if you have missed it, it will be on demand. So there's obviously that. Apart from that, guys, I want to personally rip out their fingernails. Oh, are you talking about the deep state? Okay, yeah. It's good to be here as well. I'll be off playing some videos. What games you playing, Eric? Let us know. But yeah, apart from that, guys, obviously the video's been helpful. Please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, we will see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat station. I'm going to go and rip up more tiles in my kitchen. And I'm going to wear gloves, don't worry. From now on. So I don't bleed to death anymore. But apart from that, guys, enjoy. Have a great night. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye.